All right, so we got a commercial cooler, and this one you can see the water on the floor on the unit itself. So we have a problem with the drain valve. Just like in a regular refrigerator, the drain valve takes the defrost water, sends it down to the bottom where the compressor sits, and the process of water and heat gets evaporated. It's a pretty good system when everything is working correctly. So on this unit, whoever installed this drain tube or setup actually did not do a good job. Reason for that: when you have water that has to leave and you have 90-degree elbows, it restricts a lot of flow, and eventually you can get sediments building up in those angles. The angles are too sharp, too steep, and it makes draining, even cleaning them, more difficult. You're not able to get any kind of instrument or, up in there because you do have a 90-degree angle. So I don't recommend any sharp angles when it comes to drain tubes. They should be a lot smoother where you can transition. So pretty much just follow along to see how I did this. I wanted to show the process because if you don't have a 90-degree, the first step will be very effective in getting it done. Now, this part here is where your evaporator is. So we're actually going to be removing that and blowing from there and trying to get it unclogged. Towards the end, you will see where I had to go to the back of the unit and get the actual 90-degree elbow out. This was a super bad clog, and there was no way of actually unclogging it. Even with steam, it was just not happening. All right, I'll jump back in, enjoy the rest of the video. When you're lowering the fan assembly, just be mindful. You do have the fan and a ground wire, so slowly lower, and if you're able to keep it held up or tie it off, or just remove the fan bracket itself, just be mindful not to damage it. So that's my setup. I actually cut a hole in a bottle of water or whatever and flipped it upside down while I'm up top spraying steam. So if you had a blowout, it would not make a mess. It would go straight into the drain. So that's what I did on that. Just an idea. All right, so this process is not working for this application here. So your situation might be different, but I wanted to go through it. I could have jumped and just skipped this step, but it's a lot easier doing it this way than having to move stuff and get to the back of the unit. But if you're able to just get to the back of the unit, you might be better off just doing that. Remove the elbow and clean it out, and you're done. So, but if you're not able to get to the back of the unit, remove the front cover, just 3 screws on this particular unit. They're all going to be a little bit different. And once you gain access, remove the tubes and you have access to it. You can pour super hot water or use a steamer, compress air, whatever you can use to get it. So that's the elbow. It needs to come off. So we're now in the back of the unit and holding it and trying to twist it. I was trying to remove it. It was not coming off. So it needs to be held with a pliers or a channel lock and come on down. But sometimes they come off. So there we go. That's what we need to do. But this was a very difficult one. Sorry about that. Make sure you don't turn the top. Look at this. Look at this. Jesus Christ, this thing was... Who installed this on here? Alright, so we are done just about. I was showing the customer how clogged this thing was, and it was just a mess. So we're going to be sliding something up just to verify that everything's nice and unrestricted. But everything came out well. You can see how well the water flowed out. So what we're going to do, we're installing, it's a Frigidaire part, and it transitioned very nicely from the elbow, 90-degree elbow, to a very smooth transition. And just make sure at the end of the drain tube, you make what you call an S, or a slight angle where water will settle, giving you a seal. You do not want to migrate warm air traveling up into the drain tube. It will cause that evaporator, that beautiful coil, to ice up, and that's going to restrict and stop your cooling. So this covers this. Right now we're pouring some water just to verify that the drain tube is operating. And also what you're doing when you pour water in, you're actually putting a filter or a blocker, which is going to be your P-trap that stops warm air from traveling into the evaporator area. You need to add some more, and you'll see shortly the layer of water, and that becomes your seal. Very important. Do not operate your unit without the proper drain tube. All right, guys, that concludes. Enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks for watching. All right, so what we're doing now, shortly you're going to see where I'm pouring a layer of water into that drain pan, and that protects and keep the unit running longer. Now, you could pour a little bit of antifreeze if you want, and that keeps any corrosion from forming.